This post is brought to you by Just Jimmer. TDLR, I have to leave my shift to buy another chair for M's overweight son. Me. M, entitled mother. OC, overweight child. So I was working a regular shift at the movie theater I work at. There was nothing to do, as the movies had already started, and there weren't a lot of people, so I was mainly just eating some leftover popcorn and telling jokes to my coworkers, when M comes up to me. I'm normally not the type of person that fat shames, but this lady was fat. And I mean absolutely massive. Like literally fatter than she's tall. And her son, SB, was also obese, if not morbidly obese. I'm not gonna tell them how to live their life, but just so you know. So M comes up to me and is absolutely furious. She begins shouting before I could even greet her. OC was looking physically and mentally angry. M, I have a complaint. Me, what seems to be the issue, ma'am? M, I bought these seats, but they're too small. Me, can I ask what you mean by too small, miss? M, we can't even sit normally in these chairs. They're too small, so get us new ones. Now I could already tell that these people weren't gonna fit in the seats. But the point is, we're a pretty small movie theater, and we only have one type of seat. Me, I can give you another spot in the theater, but these are the only seats we have, ma'am. I am unable to give you a bigger seat, because we only have one type of. M, then buy one. Me, excuse me? M point at the furniture shop across the road, and straight up says. M, well you're in charge of giving us what we want, right? Get us a better seat. Me, ma'am, I can't just leave my duty to buy a chair for you to sit on, also I don't know the rules but I'm pretty sure you can't just bring your own furniture into the movie theater. M, so you expect us to sit in those tiny ass seats you gave us? I thought you would do anything for your guests. M is starting to get physically aggressive now, and her son is nowhere to be seen. Me, I can give you tickets to another movie if the experience isn't enjoyable for you, but I can't just buy an entire new chair for you to sit in, ma'am. Would you like to switch your tickets to another movie? M, no, I'll watch this one, but just note that this isn't the last time you guys heard from me. So she waddles away, and I just think to myself, it's not my problem you can't fit in the seats, so don't make it my problem. So after she walks away she takes her son, and she has the brains to buy 4 large popcorns for her and her son, and go into the theater again. But this story isn't finished, because when the movie was done, she walked out of the theater and I walked up to the seats with a broom to clean up the theater, and this bitch dumped 2 of the 4 large popcorn boxes she bought all over the floor, and her son probably ate the other 2, like the assholes they are. After all this, she has the guts to email my boss a complaint about me, for not only saying she's fat but not giving her another seat, being rude, and saying the theater was a mess because there was popcorn all over the place. This woman is officially my arch nemesis now. This post is brought to you by _queer_fox entitled Mother Demands Nurse Make Me Cover My Tattoo That's scaring her sleeping child. I'm in the waiting room and an M comes in with her deathly ill child that's fast asleep in her arms. I'm wearing a tank top and have a Spirited Away themed piece on my upper arm. I've been here for 2 hours already. M keeps looking my way, huffing, dramatic sighs, and dirty looks. I have no interest in engaging, so I continue to ignore her. Finally she stops a nurse and says, "You need to tell that person to cover that awful, offensive tattoo." Nurse gives a blank stare. M continues, "It's scaring my child. He's traumatized." Nurse looks at me. I meet her gaze out of the corner of my eye. She looks down at M and tells her to wait outside or in her car if she had a problem. M keeps saying how traumatized her child is, she's woken him now from her yelling. She tells security that I need to move or cover up my horrific arm or she's going to call the cops for indecent exposure. At this point everyone is fed up. Security tells her to quit down and take a seat or leave, final warning. At this point I'm laughing. Long story short, she tried to call the cops, an officer was already here, he poked his head in to look at me, then walked back out. Said something to her and she left screaming bloody murder about indecent exposure to my poor child. I'm still currently in the waiting room. This post is brought to you by Open Detective 6998. Entitled Mother Tries to Stop High School Band from Playing During a Football Game. During my freshman year of high school, I was in the marching band. My school's marching band was absolutely massive, with over 130 people. As a result, the sound that we make is incredibly loud, which is appropriate for a marching band of this size. While the band was sitting in the stands, the entitled mother stormed up to me visibly angry, holding her crying child's hand. Me, can I help you, miss? M, can you tell your friends to play quieter? It's hurting my child's ears. Me, we are a marching band. We are supposed to play loud to express ourselves. If you don't like the noise, I suggest you leave. The entitled mother shouts in a very aggressive tone. M. Play quieter or I will call the police and file a noise complaint. Me. Why don't you go speak with our band director? She walks down the stands to the band director and shouts at him to tell us to play quieter. I overheard the conversation and he basically said the same stuff that I did. Clearly getting angrier, she tried to swipe my drumsticks out of my hands. I'm a percussionist BTW, and even tried to stop the marching band from leaving the stands to enter the field to play the halftime show. After the halftime show, I could clearly hear her child screaming and crying. Then, a few minutes later, what do you know? The cops are here. She rambles to the cops about how loud we are playing and asks to file a noise complaint. The police then said this. Cop, ma'am, this is a marching band. Marching bands are supposed to be loud. If you do not back down, you will be arrested for disturbing the peace. M's face turned pale white. She then walked back to the stands, weeping along with her child. Cop then asked the band director if he would like to press charges, and he sure as hell did. M ended up getting a $2,000 fine. To this day, I'm still wondering why she decided to come to a football game, if her child hated noise. This post is from Scarlet Absol 13. TDLR, entitled Karen mistakes me for a department manager, and demands I tell her what the starting pay rate is. So I work in the stock dairy department of a major supermarket in my area. And since the holidays are coming up, my store is trying to hire as many people as possible to deal with the holiday rushes. That means there are now hiring signs up all throughout the store. And while I've gotten questions about the process before, it's usually stuff like, how do I go about submitting an application? How old do you have to be to work here? Do they offer flexible hours for high school, college students? About how many hours do they give you a week? The usual stuff that potential applicants would rather ask an associate working on the floor than a manager. I also have to mention, for the sake of the story, I recently got a work shirt with my name embroidered on it so I wouldn't have to worry about wearing a name tag anymore. On one particular super busy Sunday afternoon, I was loading eggs to the shelf when a woman and her teenage son walked up to me. So the woman said, I see that you guys are hiring, and I just wanted to know what the starting pay rate was to see if this would be a good place for my son's first job. So I responded, I'm sorry, I'm honestly not sure. And she immediately snapped, what do you mean you're not sure? You're a department manager, right? And I told her, actually, I'm just a part-timer here. But your name is on your shirt. She exclaimed, pointing to my chest, only manager gets shirts like that. So I told her, well, they've recently started offering shirts like this to anyone who wants one, from department manager to baggers. She huffed and said, I can't believe they let part-timers wear personalized shirts like that. I thought you were a manager. Well, anyway, what do you make an hour? So I told her, if your son is hired he would make much less than I do, since I was hired almost 16 years ago and workers in my tenure level just got a significant raise. You would be better off asking a manager that question. She then huffed again and said, there's no way, you've been here 16 years, you look 20 at the oldest. I'm 32 and extremely baby-faced. Now she's getting annoyed. So why don't you just tell me what you made when you started working here, since I'm sure it's not too far off the starting pay rate now. I looked her dead in the eye and told her, $7.25. Minimum wage in my state is $12.25. She just sputtered something I couldn't comprehend. Auditory processing disorder can be a blessing sometimes, then stormed off with her son in tow. Not my worst entitled parent story, but it was still amusing.